Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the new year. Actually, let me do one thing. Hold on. I know it doesn't look like it did much, but I always turn on a certain light over yonder over there. I don't know, I guess I always made sure the room is pretty well lit whenever I do these videos. Find out there's two lamps on either side of me that I forgot to turn on. Hey, you know what? Doing that isn't going to kill me. I should just focus on doing what I'm supposed to do. So, I think one resolution I'm going to have is, last year, I'll say my low, my high, my active kindness. I guess my low is there was one resolution I did forget to make yesterday that I had to make up for today. So I had to do essentially that thing twice, which is I've been doing something called acceptance resolution therapy, and my therapist says that at least 50 times a day, I should say that I'm confident, or tell myself I'm confident. I forgot to do that yesterday, so I had to do it today. And I had to do it 100 times, because I do 50 a day, did 50 for yesterday and 50 for today, so now I'm all cut up. All right. So that's one resolution I have I forgot to do. Another resolution I think I'll stick with that I didn't forget to do yesterday is I think in every video I'm going to try and wear this ring again. Last year I discovered what self-love is, and should your ring, if you have your ring on your right ring finger, that's self-love is actually one of the things it symbolizes. So, I'm going to try and do that too. So that's two things I'm going to do. And I have to so basically my low is a resolution I forgot to do yesterday. My high is I discovered a new resolution I'm going to do. And my act of kindness was when I visited my folks yesterday, I emptied and filled their dishwasher. So, yeah, that was my act of kindness. And forgive me if I'm being, if I'm up a little bit late, but I watched the rest of the Sugar Bowl last night, which here in Eastern Standard Time it was almost 1 a.m. and I got up at like 6:38, and I rushed to get dressed and do this video. Also, one thing I forgot to point out yesterday, start wearing my flannel shirts again, if you couldn't tell yesterday. And I do this blue one for Tuesday. Tuesday Blues Day. It's going to be, actually, that's going to be, as long as I'm wearing this flannel, I'm going to try and wear this one on Tuesdays. Tuesday Blues Day. Okay, so, let's see. There is one thing I absolutely need to talk about that a couple of days ago was released on Netflix. And you know what? It's been a while. It's been a good hot minute since I've talked about any comedian stand-up special. But considering that it was the new year, technically the special came out on New Year's Eve, but I watched it on New Year's Eve, but honestly I wanted to prioritize yesterday into, talking about what this year was going to bring. So now that's out of the way, because I know for a fact there's no One Piece manga chapter this week, I decided that I'm going to talk about said comedy special today. But it's not just any comedy special. Oh no. It is arguably the GOAT's comedy special. Well, I suppose the current GOAT. Come to think of it, looking back, and I probably should have done my thoughts on Chris Rock's Selective Outrage. But actually, you know what? it's talked on this one. It's Dave Chappelle's The Dreamer. And, or is it Dreamer or The Dreamer? Shoot. Well, all I know is that the word dreamer is in the title. Okay, so I guess the only way to really talk about this is talk about my my history with watching Dave Chappelle, because I was actually one of those lucky kids that if you were able to sneak watching stuff like Comedy Central or stuff like The Simpsons, then obviously I watched the Chapelle Show. I mean, as a dumb white kid who obviously would never do anything or say anything racist, you know, I did watch the Chapelle Show whenever it was on, and I did like it. But at the same time, I knew, like, okay, clearly Dave is able to say some things and some words that I, as a dumb white kid, should never ever say. And to this day, I have not. With that said, it really was funny. For sure, I mean, there are a few bits that will always stick out to me. It's, I mean, when, who was that one politician he was trying to, Howard something, Howard Burns, I can't remember. But, I remember that one. That's a bit that I always watch that one whenever I need a good laugh. Another one I always do to get a good laugh is, I plead the fifth. I love that one. Those are, like, Bia and I plead the fifth are two of my favorite comedic bits, like, ever. In any sketch show, any of that stuff. I love that. They're funny, they make me laugh. Everyone my age was quoting it when it came out at the time. I mean, I love it. And I've seen every, like, comedy special Dave Chappelle ever did. Speaking of which, let's get into The Dreamer. Foremost, it was 24 years I think it was to the day. It was 24 years ago, Dave Chappelle was on the very stage he did Dreamer in, filming his first 1 hour special, Killing Him Softly. Which actually, that's another comedic joke that I love with Dave Chappelle. He talked about Sesame Street. I don't want to spoil that one, but that's another one of my favorites of his. So, I mean, look, it's Dave Chappelle, guys. That man's hilarity is of something that you cannot even begin to register. Like, there are some comedians who really does feel like they're operating on, like, a different stratosphere or a different plane than what you mostly see. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen my fair share of hilarious comedians, even some up-and-coming ones. You know, Matt Rife, Bert Kreischer, Patton Oswalt, Eliza Schlesinger, just to name a few. But few, if any, could truly ever match what Dave could do. I'll never forget when I watched The Hall. That's also on Netflix. You know, who better than Dave Chappelle to be the one to induct Richard Pryor in? Arguably the original GOAT. I mean, I suppose it is kind of, what's the word for it? Maybe it is a bit stereotypical that, of course, you have someone of Dave Chappelle's skin color inducting Richard Pryor, but again, I wouldn't know. But it's funny, I can't really spoil Dreamer, this new special that Dave did, because, well, obviously, some of those jokes are things that I can't really say on camera, lest I get canceled. But of the many times I've ever seen Dave Chappelle on stage, the one constant was there was always something about everything he said that really stuck. There was always something about what Dave said that, like, I'll remember, like, you know what? It's kind of like when Liam of the Grand Line Review and Murphy Napier were talking about the concept of what a good book is. And normally when you think of something good, it's either, oh, I'll remember this, or I didn't hate it. Well, for like worst case scenario, it really is, with Dave Chappelle, it's meant like in the middle. Like, I'll remember that I didn't hate it. Usually for Dave, it's that formula. Like, I'll remember what Dave's like. I'll remember what Dave did in this special. I will. That's just how good of a comedian Dave is. I mean, and again, 24 short years, that would have made me literally 10 years old. 10 years old when he first did Killing Him Softly. I didn't really see it because I would have been too young to watch it. But the point is, I'll remember what Dave said. And 24 years, man. Like, from when he did Killing Him Softly, his girlfriend, who was pregnant, was sitting, like, just a few seats, like, down from the front row in Killing Him Softly. And in the span of 24 years, Dave married that woman. She's now his wife. The child that his girlfriend at the time was carrying, obviously then married that girl, is now his 23, 24-year-old son. Bare minimum, that kid is like 22 years old. Maybe like 22, 23. That's like the bare minimum of what he is. And then Dave proceeded to say, I smoke weed with him every day. He actually used a different word that, again, I cannot say on camera, but that's Dave. He talked about how he met Jim Carrey for the first time. He made a joke regarding the sub that went up to the Titanic, or tried to make the expedition to the Titanic. But it was his closer that really stuck the most. Because I gotta try to remember what specifically he said. Like, there are things that we all want to do. There are things that, we know that we want. Like, we have a set goal in life and we actually try and do it. There are those in which said goal comes to them in the form of a dream. I, unfortunately, have never really, had that sort of epiphany, if you will. I mean, literally anything I've always wanted to do, I've always been, well, for starters, awake. But I was always incredibly conscious, I've always been incredibly conscious as to witnessing that thing that I wanted to do. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do that. That's usually how a lot of people get their dreams. And what I found really fascinating is there are some dreams that people have that involve said people meeting their idols. Like, for example, or meeting famous people. For example, I personally have always wanted to meet Dave Chappelle. Because, who doesn't want to meet Dave Chappelle? Dave Chappelle is awesome. And it's not that I achieved my dream that I see him, I finally meet him. Like, Dave Chappelle is in my dream. I can say that. I dream of meeting Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is in my dream. You know, or you know what? Dave had another great example. Him being back on that stage doing another stand-up special, talking about being a dreamer. You know, that, like, every single member of that audience is in his dream. Keep in mind, this is how I'm trying to interpret it. I am probably getting this super wrong. I really hope I'm not. But this truly was, like, that's actually the beautiful thing about a really, truly great comedian. Like, there's always at least one joke, whether it's funny because it's naughty or funny because it's smart, that you'll always remember. But then there are comedians like Dave Chappelle or Brad Williams or even Billy Gardell, who, at least in my experience, like, they say things that truly make you think. Like, any preconceived notions you have about something, these comedians are able to take that and form it in a way that that make you think, I never thought of it that way before. Or they're able to do something in a way that's, you know, it sort of manipulates it a little bit in a way that, yeah, technically it would be a pet peeve of mine, but you do it in a way that's funny and smart, and I can't help but laugh. One of the greatest examples of this in my experience was, believe it or not, when I was first watching Dennis Leary. Specifically his No Cure for Cancer special, which is one of the greatest specials I've ever seen. Now, for those who don't know, Dennis Leary is an asshole. Those are his words, not mine. Actually, those are his song lyrics, not mine. Yes, he even wrote a song about how much he's an asshole. And he is proud of it. And if you've been watching me for long enough, you know that one of my biggest pet peeves ever is making fun of someone for crying. That's one of my biggest pet peeves ever. I hate it when others are being made fun of for crying. I hate that. I myself, crying is a beautiful emotion. It's a necessary emotion. It's a human emotion. I don't like it when anyone makes fun of others for crying. What Dennis Leary did in that special was, he technically did, but he didn't actually, like, it's not like he called out anyone in the audience for crying, because, I mean, if you're crying during a stand-up special or watching someone do stand-up, chances are it's probably you, not the comedian. Because the comedian's doing all they can to be funny. Not to mention everyone in the audience is laughing around you. If you're crying, and if it makes you sad, you gotta be the problem. I'm just saying. Point is. By the way, what I just did, that's not making fun of someone for crying. And that's the thing. I didn't just call out specifically anyone. Like, it legit could be any random person in general. It doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be you watching specifically. It doesn't have to be me personally. It could be anyone. Where, you know, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to tell the joke specifically because, again, it kind of involves using words I don't want to say on camera. But the point is, Dennis Leary was able to take a preconceived notion that I have, and he was able to make it, and he was able to make me think, I never thought of it that way before. Dave Chappelle did the exact same thing in Dreamer. You know, because I never thought that, me doing something I've always wanted to do, or meeting someone I always wanted to meet, like, that's not me achieving my dream necessarily. That's said person that I want to meet, or that said event, or any people around me as I do said event, like, those people are in my dream, whether I realize it or not. And I think that's really clever. I think that's really smart. That's why Dave really is arguably the GOAT. And I'm really glad that I got to watch this special. I doubt Dave Chappelle is actually watching this, but if you are, Dave Chappelle, I'm a big fan of your work. you and a lot of other people who do any kind of entertainment, whether it's being a dumb idiot doing what I'm doing right now, or, you know, someone who actually also wants to do stand-up. Dave Chappelle, you have inspired so many people. And I truly could never thank you enough for all of the laughs, nor can I really thank you for all the times you made me really think about whatever preconceived notions I have about things in life in general. So thank you, Dave. I hope all is well with you and your family. I hope Dave Chappelle is going to watch this. Who am I kidding? But on the odd chance he does, you know, I hope all is well with you and your family. I wish continued success for you and your family. And, I mean, 24 years ago, you killed us all softly. And 24 years later, in your own way, you turned everybody into a dreamer. So thank you. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I am very humble in this video. For all you guys watching, enjoy for the day. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. I almost forgot the day of the week. And remember, you guys want to talk channels, we're here to lend the all back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.